All right, moving
That'll
on
get
to
you.
somebody that obviously probably has a little bit more of a bullseye on his back in Alexis Diaz. Obviously, when he came back, there was discussion of whether or not he was going to retake the reins of being a closer. I had said I think there's little to no chance of that, and I think you probably somewhat agreed with me, but there was a certain, at least a semblance of a reason to ask the question to Tito Francona. He obviously said that Pagan was he was happy with the way that Emilio was throwing the ball in his role. And now you find yourself in a position where Alexis Diaz looks very much like the Alexis Diaz that we've come to know throughout his career. He has always played with fire, Nick. And the crazy thing about it is it just feels like now if he were to find himself in a position where he just has a little bit of bad luck, or he gets just a little bit in a spot where guys hit him just a tad bit harder, the dam breaks and flooding will occur. The biggest issue I had with Alexis Diaz tonight, and maybe I'm just an idiot for thinking this, but like if he can't control the run game at all, it's going to be really hard to put him in games in the 7th and 8th inning when it's a 1 or 2 run game. I mean, you have to basically pitch damn near perfect to not give yourself or not put yourself in a really, really tight spot. I mean, ultimately, the home run, it is what it is, right? He gave it up. You could say they would have scored if they didn't steal it all. But I'm just thinking down the line here, Nick, of like, Alexis Diaz has done this before. Let's not act like he hasn't given up home runs. He's not looked bad. He did the, but I don't remember, and maybe I'm just naive, I don't remember a team stealing on him so easily that we don't even throw the ball. I mean, we're not even throwing the baseball. And I get that he has the leg kick, but he's going to have to figure that out. Because if he doesn't figure that out, Nick, I hate to say this, but it's going to be really hard for me to trust Alexis Diaz ever going into a game because he's going to have to basically get everybody out, or someone's going to be in scoring position with a chance to tie the game or take the lead just by getting on base. And he walks guys. And that's just who he is. And I guess, as I've said before, I'm not trying to kill Alexis Diaz and act like I think he's terrible, but he definitely has these traits that we've been concerned about for a long time, and they've reared their head up here. And I guess my point in saying all this is like it's not a shock. Maybe that's why I'm not mad. I don't know.
That's a big spot. I mean, he was, 1 out away from keeping it a 3-0 game. And I mean, there's certainly no guarantee that things play out the same way.
Right.
So you can't just say, yeah, that completely cost the game. Well, it might have been completely different. The Marlins may have brought in a left-handed pitcher to face Gavin Lux, knowing he was the tying run. It would have been a completely different spot. So, yeah, I don't know. The first two of the pitches that were balls to Kyle Stowers, who's a pretty good player for the Marlins, one of their top prospects that's kind of getting established. He just threw 2 very uncompetitive pitches. And the pitch that he threw that Stowers hit out of the ballpark wasn't a bad pitch, but I think he was geared up for the fastball in that spot. And, it's a lot easier to hit when you kind of feel pretty confident in what's coming and you're able to just kind of square it up. So it's the command with him.
Yeah.
How much of a leash do you give Alexis Diaz? I don't know. I mean, that's the great debate. I mean, clearly they made the right move, not making him the closer. I think that's definitively true.
Yes.
Does he help this team or not? I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't think his leash should be super long. I don't think he can go out and 3 or 4 more bad outings and you keep him up here because he does have options. I don't know if I'm in a rush to send him down either, though, right now. But that leash is getting smaller and smaller.
I don't think the good outweighs the bad with him. And that's just how I view it. I look at his stuff, and he's a one-trick pony. He's kind of been a one-trick pony. And I've always said that if somebody at some point tells the opposing team that if they just decide not to swing at these sliders, there's a pretty good chance he's going to walk you. There just is. And I know that seems easier said than done, but if you do not chase with Alexis Diaz, you have a great chance to get on base. And I think that ultimately finally will catch up to him. And then the fact that you can't hold a runner on to save your life, that's the icing on the cake for me. That makes it to where I'm done. As far as like moving him down yet, of course you can't do that. But as far as what I view him the same way I view Barlow. I really do. I hope that at some point Maxwell, and I'll say it like this. If our concern is that Luis May is going to walk the world, I'd rather die on the hill that Luis May might just strike 3 guys out after he walks everybody. I am not so convinced that Alexis Diaz is going to strike the side out like he has once in the past with that devastating slider, because if the slider's not on and guys decide, you know what, I'm not going to chase this pitch, there's nothing left to hold on to. And we'll see. I've overreacted with Alexis Diaz before. He's turned it around and made me look like an idiot. But my eyes keep telling me, I've watched enough baseball in my life to know this eventually doesn't end well. I don't know when that's coming. Maybe it'll never come. But it feels like it's on its way, and it feels like it might be here right now. We shall find out. Anything left to add with Diaz before we jump into the back half?
No.
All right, we got some super chats on the way. Let's do those right now, and then we will obviously get into the folks that help us pay the bills around here, and we very much appreciate them for supporting our show. Ned Flanders says, when you have guys in the minors who also walk a lot of people but can throw 100 miles an hour, what value does Diaz offer the team? How long is his leash? Well, Ned, we just spent a whole segment on that. I don't know how long his leash is. I'll give him two more outings. Like if we went one more outing and it didn't go well, he'd get one more outing after that, and then that would be it. Over under 1.5 more bad outings, Nick.
I'd put it at 2.5.
All right, so you're going to take the
Luis
over
May
under.
walked 4 batters on Saturday. So I'm not in a rush to bring up Luis May.
Yeah.
Zach Maxwell's probably a little bit closer. He hasn't been completely dominant either down at AAA. So it also is going to depend on Maxwell. I mean, I feel like Maxwell and Diaz, I kind of feel like those guys maybe should be viewed almost the same. All right, well, does Maxwell pitch well, continue to pitch well? Does he kind of run into his walk problems? And I think that the two of them kind of, it has to be some sort of like scale almost of all right, I think Diaz has a slight advantage right now just on where Maxwell's at, and you're still trying to develop him. But if Diaz pitches bad and Maxwell looks really good next several times out, then I think it maybe skips a little bit. It's not really a whole lot of other options right now. There's several guys injured, and again, it's a long season. And so there's also the whole, not calling guys up too early and kind of, getting yourself into some tough spots there, with relievers, especially with already a couple guys now with Carson Spires going to be out for quite a while now. He would be kind of an option that would be a guy you maybe would want to call up as like your, longer man if you needed him. That's not an option anymore. Mole's on the IL. So there's a little bit of concerns with maybe the relieving depth at this point.